The sun hung low over the dusty horizon of Arcanes V, turning the red sands into rivers of fire. Small human settlements clung to life amid the harsh winds, their metal structures battered by years of relentless storms. Elia's core walked through the colony, his boots sinking slightly into the warm sand with each step. He had seen many strange things in his years as an engineer and explorer, but nothing could prepare him for the day the alien ship crashed nearby. The first sign was a distant flash of light on the horizon, brighter than the twin suns of Arcanes. The colony's alarms blared, and people ran to the edges of their homes, shielding their eyes. Rumors spread quickly. An alien vessel had fallen from the sky. Children whispered, adults feared, and the Council of Elders gathered to discuss what to do. Elias was already moving toward the crash site. He did not hesitate. Humans had always faced danger, and he had never been one to run from it. When he arrived, the scene was chaos. Smoke curled into the sky, and the jagged remains of the spacecraft lay embedded in the sand like a wounded beast. Yet amidst the wreckage, something moved. A small figure stepped out. She was no taller than 12 human years, with pale skin that shimmered faintly in the sunlight. Her hair was silver, flowing and delicate, and her eyes glowed softly like twin moons. Villagers recoiled at her appearance. Whispers of curses and misfortune spread through the crowd. They called her the cursed alien girl, warning Elias to stay away, but Elias did not. He knelt a short distance from her and extended his hand. "Hey," he said gently, "I'm not going to hurt you." She looked around at the humans staring at the smoke rising from her ship, and finally she focused on Elias. There was something in the way she studied him, something that made the air feel heavier, charged. Slowly she stepped forward and placed her small hand in his. "I choose you," she said, her voice a soft melody that seemed almost otherworldly. The villagers gasped. The council elders shook their heads in disbelief. She chooses a human?" One whispered, fear in her tone. "That is impossible. She is cursed." "I will keep you safe." Villagers cried out, some falling to their knees, certain that the curse had begun. Elias held the girl tightly. "It's okay," he said firmly. "I'm not afraid of you, and you're not cursed, not while I'm here." Children peeked from behind walls, adults whispered in dark corners, and the council debated endlessly. Yet Elias ignored the whispers. He focused only on the girl, learning her ways, trying to understand the strange energy that surrounded her. Days passed. The girl, who he learned was named Lyra, remained quiet, watching everything with wide, unblinking eyes. She refused to eat the food provided, preferring small glimmers of light or patterns in the sand. Elias noticed that wherever she went, small malfunctions happened. Lights flickered, machines whined, and sometimes the ground itself seemed to hum beneath her feet. One evening, as the sun set and the sky bled into deep orange, a violent storm erupted. The wind roared, sand whipping into the air, blinding anyone outside. Villagers ran indoors, shuttering windows and doors. But Elias noticed Lyra standing in the middle of the courtyard, her silver hair streaming behind her, eyes glowing brighter than ever. He ran to her. "Lyra, come inside now." Instead, a swirl of silver light surrounded her, lifting her slightly off the ground. Elias reached for her, and as he touched her hand, the light vanished and she collapsed into his arms. She was unharmed, but her small body shook with fear. "You're safe," he whispered. "I've got you." It was not misfortune. It was a warning, a shield, a strange alien instinct to protect herself from danger. Humans misunderstood it because they had never seen such abilities before. Over the next few days, Elias tried to teach Lyra how to control it. They walked through the colony together, he guiding her, teaching her to sense danger without triggering storms or malfunctions. Villagers watched with mixed feelings. Some remained fearful, others curious, and a few admired Elias' courage. One night while they studied the stars, Lyra spoke for the first time about her past. "My people, my family, I don't know if they survived," she whispered, her glowing eyes reflecting the starlight. "The hunters, they came for us. I escaped, but I am alone now." For the first time, she seemed to trust a human completely. She clung to him, letting him guide her through the darkness. The storm outside raged on, but inside the small settlement, a bond was forming stronger than fear, stronger than misunderstanding. Humanity's courage and compassion had faced danger before, and now it faced something far greater, a child with powers it could not yet understand, a being labeled as cursed, who had chosen a human to be her guardian. Days later, the first signs of trouble appeared. Machines around the colony began failing in a synchronized pattern, more intense than before. Lights flickered, communication arrays went silent, and small drones malfunctioned, hovering erratically before crashing. Villagers panicked. The council called for isolation, but Elias refused to leave Lyra alone. "She is not a curse," he told them firmly. "She is a child, and I am her guardian. If you refuse to help, you will only make things worse." Her eyes glowed softly, less intensely than during the storms. "I feel someone coming," she said quietly. "Not human, they will try to take me. We face what comes and we survive." Beside him, Lyra slept peacefully, her small chest rising and falling, silver hair spread like starlight across the sand. The colony slept, unaware that the fate of the girl labeled cursed, and perhaps the future of her people, rested in the hands of one human who refused to let fear guide his actions. Suddenly, a sharp wind cut across the settlement. Elias stood, sensing something off. Lyra stirred, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Before he could speak, a burst of silver light enveloped her. The wind howled, and the sand around them lifted into a swirling vortex. Villagers screamed, but Elias pushed through, reaching her just as the light vanished. Lyra was gone. Panic surged, but Elias forced himself to stay calm. She had chosen him, he would find her. No matter what, he would protect her. The desert was vast, the storms unpredictable, and the unknown dangers of Arcanes countless. Yet Elias' core, human and unyielding, would not give up. For the girl who had been called cursed, he would become more than a guardian. He would become a guide through the shadows, a protector against the storms, and a companion through the mysteries of the stars. Somewhere in the swirling sands of the desert, Lyra waited, and Elias would find her. Elias stood at the edge of the desert, the wind biting against his face. The silver glow that had swallowed Lyra still lingered in his mind, sharp and vivid. He knew that wherever she had gone, she was alive. He could feel it in the way the sand seemed to hum beneath his boots, as though it remembered her touch. The desert was vast, full of dangers that could swallow a human without warning. But Elias was not just any human. He was her guardian, and he would not fail. He tightened the straps of his pack, securing water, rations, and tools. He had little to guide him except the faint trail of energy Lyra had left behind. Villagers had tried to warn him, saying she was cursed, that the storms and malfunctions were proof of danger. Elias ignored them. He had seen enough of the universe to know that what humans called curses were often just unknown forces. Lyra was not a curse. She was a child in need of protection. Hours passed as he crossed the dunes, the twin suns burning low on the horizon. Sand shifted beneath his feet, creating small cliffs and valleys that threatened to swallow him if he misstepped. Elias paused, scanning the landscape. The desert was quiet, too quiet, and he knew that silence often came before a storm, or worse, before danger. A sudden shimmer caught his eye. He crouched low, moving carefully toward it. There, just beyond a jagged dune, he saw her. Lyra stood perfectly still, her silver hair reflecting the last rays of the sun. Her eyes glowed faintly, scanning the horizon. She had not seen him yet. "Lyra," he called softly, "it's me, Elias." For a moment she hesitated, then ran toward him, her steps light as if she barely touched the ground. Elias knelt, opening his arms, and she threw herself into him. "I'm okay," she whispered. "But they are coming. I can feel them. The hunters are close." If these hunters reached her, the colony would be defenseless. He needed a plan, and quickly. "Come on," he said, pulling her close. "We have to move before they find us." Bioluminescent plants glowed faintly in the deep crevices, giving the night a surreal, magical feel. Lyra seemed drawn to them, her small hands reaching out to touch the glowing tendrils. "You like these?" Elias asked, smiling. Lyra nodded. "They are peaceful. They do not hurt me. They do not see me as cursed. Quiet, hidden, safe." She could sense danger before it arrived, and the desert obeyed her instincts in strange ways. Suddenly, a noise echoed from above. Elias looked up to see a figure perched on a cliff, a hunter. Its armor glinted under the moons, and it moved with unnatural grace. Elias quickly pulled Lyra behind a rock, keeping her low. She trembled, her silver glow intensifying. "They see me," she whispered. "They know I am here. And trust me." The hunter moved silently, scanning, and then fired a pulse of energy. The rock trap Elias had set detonated, sending a cloud of dust and debris into the air. The hunter stumbled, giving Elias and Lyra a chance to move further down the canyon. Lyra gasped. "How did you do that?" "And we always find a way." "You're learning fast," Elias said, impressed. "With practice, you can use your powers to help us survive." "Elias," she said softly, "why do you stay with me? Everyone else, they are afraid." Then I trust you. The hunters were not far behind, their signals detectable through the energy disturbances in the desert. Elias knew they had to keep moving, but the terrain grew harsher. Jagged rocks, hidden crevices, and sudden drops challenged every step. Lyra stayed close, her senses warning them of traps and dangers before they encountered them. At one point, they encountered a desert predator, a massive creature with armored scales and glowing eyes. It roared, shaking the ground, and lunged toward them. Lyra's energy flared instinctively, creating a shield of light that slowed the creature. Elias reacted quickly, using a portable net launcher to ensnare its legs. Together, human ingenuity and alien instinct forced the predator to retreat. "You did that," Lyra whispered, awe in her voice. "No," Elias replied, smiling. "We did that together." The oasis was a hidden paradise. Water shimmered under the moons, strange plants glowed softly, and small animals darted between rocks. Lyra ran to the water, touching it delicately, her glow reflecting in the ripples. They let me be," she said softly, smiling. "No one here is afraid. We need to find more clues about your people, your past, and the hunters." Her trust in him was a reminder that courage was not the absence of fear, it was the choice to act despite it. Suddenly, Lyra's eyes opened wide. She pointed toward the sky, glowing faintly. Elias followed her gaze and saw something moving, a strange formation of light in the distance. "They are here," she whispered. Elias stood alert. "Not yet," he said firmly. "We are ready." A pulse of light shot across the sky, warning Elias that they were close. Lyra flinched, but Elias remained calm, guiding her to the first trap. The hunter arrived, scanning the area, unaware of the human's strategy. Elias activated the trap, a net of cables and debris lifted into the air, forcing the hunter to stumble. Lyra focused her energy, directing a pulse that interfered with the hunter's sensors. Together, they bought enough time to escape deeper into the desert. Breathless, Elias and Lyra rested among the rocks. "You're amazing," Lyra said quietly, awe and gratitude in her voice. "You're amazing," Elias replied. "Humans are clever, yes, but you make us even stronger. Together, we can survive anything." Humanity had survived countless challenges, and now, alongside Lyra, they would face the unknown together. The desert stretched endlessly before them, harsh and unforgiving. Yet Elias and Lyra walked forward, hand in hand, ready to confront whatever came next. The bond between human and alien, guardian and child, was growing stronger. And in that bond lay the greatest power of all, the courage to face the universe together. The desert stretched endlessly, its red sands glowing faintly under the twin moons. Elias and Lyra had been moving for days, careful to stay off the main paths that the hunters might follow. Yet the sense of danger grew heavier with each step. Lyra's energy pulsed faintly, warning Elias of movement they could not yet see. He trusted her instincts more than any sensor or map. "Do you feel them?" Elias asked, scanning the horizon. Lyra nodded. Her silver eyes glowed slightly. "Closer. They are faster than before. They will reach us soon. We stand, we fight if we must, and we survive." "Elias," she said quietly, "I think I can guide you, not just warn, but help. With your guidance, we can make traps, hide, and escape if we need to." Humans were not the fastest, not the strongest, but they were clever, and knowledge was a weapon. One evening, as the suns dipped below the horizon, the first full assault arrived. A massive alien ship descended, its hull glinting with strange metal that seemed alive. Energy pulses scanned the ground below. Elias grabbed Lyra's hand, pulling her to a concealed ledge. Her body vibrated with energy, sensing the approaching danger. "They are here," she whispered, her eyes wide. Elias nodded. "Then we make them regret coming here." Lyra focused, directing energy to reinforce the traps and confuse the drones. The hunters' first wave descended. Drones moved silently, scanning the canyon. Elias waited, heart-pounding. When the first drone reached a trap, a net of wires and rocks collapsed upon it, sending it crashing into the canyon floor. Lyra's energy pulsed, interfering with its sensors. The drone spun helplessly before smashing into a rock. Elias grinned. "See, we can fight smarter, not harder." Rocks shifted, sand shifted, and the hunters' drones malfunctioned one by one. Then the hunters themselves descended, stepping carefully onto the canyon floor. They were taller than humans, their armor sleek and glowing with faint blue light. Weapons hung at their sides, humming softly. Elias crouched behind a rock, motioning Lyra to stay low. "They are dangerous," he whispered. Lyra nodded. "I can help. I can shield us, confuse them." Rocks fell, catching the hunters off guard. Chaos erupted. Drones crashed, hunters dodged and attacked, but Elias stayed calm. Using quick thinking, he guided Lyra through the canyon, forcing the hunters into narrow passages where their size worked against them. Lyra's abilities grew stronger as they moved. She lifted rocks, sent pulses of energy to mislead the drones, and created small shields to protect them from stray blasts. At one point, a hunter aimed directly at them. Elias grabbed a large rock and threw it with perfect timing, distracting the alien. Lyra's pulse of energy ricocheted off the canyon walls, striking the hunter's armor. The alien stumbled, giving them enough space to escape further into the canyon. "You are strong," Lyra whispered, awe in her voice. "No," Elias said, panting. "We are strong together. That is what makes the difference." It was narrow, dark, and winding, perfect for hiding and regrouping. Lyra's energy illuminated the path just enough to see without being detected. Inside, they rested. Elias tended to her, checking for injuries. Lyra's energy had protected her physically, but the exertion left her weak. She leaned against him, trusting him completely. "Elias," she said quietly, "I do not want to hurt anyone. The hunters, they are dangerous, but I do not like this fighting." They would not give up, not while they were looking for Lyra. But humans had survived worse, fought against impossible odds, and adapted when technology, numbers, or nature threatened them. Elias believed that humanity's greatest strength was their creativity, the ability to think differently, to see solutions that others could not. The next day, they moved again, carefully. Lyra's senses guided them past hidden drones and patrols. They discovered remnants of other alien travelers, ships abandoned long ago, scattered across the desert. Some were damaged, some functional but empty. Elias examined them, learning their weaknesses and potential uses. "See," he said to Lyra, "humans can make use of anything. Even their enemies' tools can become our advantage." Elias noticed that she began to anticipate his movements, predicting the traps and signals he would create. They were becoming a team, almost symbiotic in their actions. One evening, they reached a plateau overlooking the desert. The twin moons reflected on distant metal structures, hunters' outposts preparing for another sweep. Elias and Lyra watched silently, formulating a plan. "We cannot face them head-on," Elias said. "Too many, too powerful, but we can make them chase shadows, lose time, and tire themselves. That is how humans survive, by thinking, adapting, and using the environment. Show them illusions, make them see what is not real." And when the hunters tried to corner them, Elias used a combination of human ingenuity and Lyra's energy to create diversions. Hours passed in tense silence, punctuated by distant crashes and pulses of alien energy. Elias' heart raced, but he remained calm, guiding Lyra through every move. They were exhausted, but neither gave up. Humans survived through resilience, through refusing to surrender, and that determination now powered their every step. By dawn, the hunters retreated temporarily. Their drones destroyed, their sensors confused, they flew away to regroup. Elias and Lyra collapsed, exhausted but victorious. They had survived another encounter, stronger and closer than before. Lyra leaned against Elias, her glow dimming as she rested. "Humans, you are clever. I do not understand how you survive so much." "Always." But they were clever, resourceful, and courageous. And alongside Lyra, they could face the universe itself. Hand in hand, Elias and Lyra set off again, deeper into the desert, ready for whatever challenge came next. The hunters would return. The trials would continue. But together, human and alien, guardian and child, they would survive. And in their survival lay the first sparks of a legend that would spread across stars, that even a human could protect, guide, and inspire a being from beyond the galaxy, and that together they could face anything. The desert stretched endlessly, but Elias and Lyra had learned to read it like a map. Every ridge, every dune, every canyon held meaning. Yet even with her instincts guiding them, the journey was grueling. The twin moons hung high, casting silver shadows over the red sands. Lyra's glow pulsed softly, alerting Elias to subtle shifts in the environment. He had learned to trust her as much as she trusted him. "We are close," Lyra whispered, her silver eyes fixed on a distant formation. "I can feel it. My people, or what remains of them." This is my people's place," she said. "But it is abandoned. Something terrible must have happened." Inside, the air was heavy with silence. Dust floated in beams of pale light. Strange symbols glowed faintly as Lyra walked past, her silver energy reacting to them. "These symbols," she murmured, tracing a finger along the wall, They tell a story, but I do not fully understand it yet. My people, we were scientists, explorers, guardians of knowledge. But then the hunters came. They destroyed everything. They moved deeper into the ruins, passing through crumbling halls and collapsed ceilings. Strange energy pulses echoed faintly, almost like a heartbeat. Lyra's glow pulsed in response. I can feel them, she whispered. Not the hunters, something else. My people left something behind, a message maybe, or a device. Humans had survived countless challenges by studying the unknown and adapting. Perhaps the same could help them now. Then we find it, he said. We don't know what it is, but it might help us, and your people. Lyra guided them, sensing danger before it appeared. Elias relied on his engineering knowledge, using tools and ingenuity to clear debris and stabilize the structures. At one point, they entered a vast chamber, the ceiling arched high above, carved with intricate patterns that glowed faintly. In the center, a large pedestal pulsed with energy. Lyra approached it cautiously, her eyes wide. This is what remains, she whispered. My people left it here, perhaps a key, a guide, but I do not know how to use it. Elias tried pressing buttons, tracing symbols, and applying small tools. Lyra extended her energy, trying to interface with the pedestal. Finally, a faint hum filled the chamber. Symbols shifted and aligned, revealing a holographic map of distant systems. Lyra gasped. This is where my people fled or tried to flee, and it shows the hunters, too, their paths. They are not far from here. Elias grabbed Lyra's hand, pulling her toward a narrow exit. Rocks fell and part of the ceiling collapsed behind them. They ran, dodging falling debris until they emerged into the desert air. Outside, the wind had picked up. The twin moons were hidden behind clouds of sand, and distant lights flickered, hunters closing in. Elias glanced at Lyra, who was trembling but determined. We can't face them here, he said. We need a plan, but there is something in these ruins we can use. Even in a desert filled with danger, even against enemies more advanced and numerous, ingenuity and determination could turn the tide. For the next few hours, they scavenged. Elias examined alien devices, learning how they functioned. Lyra focused her energy, synchronizing with the machines to create barriers, sensors, and small defensive pulses. Slowly, a plan took shape. They could use the ruins themselves as a trap, forcing the hunters into narrow passages and giving humans the advantage of strategy over strength. As night fell, they prepared. Elias and Lyra set up barriers, arranged energy pulses to confuse sensors, and created pathways that led to hidden exits. Lyra practiced learning to control her energy precisely, to guide it through the devices without causing destruction. This is different, Lyra said, her voice calm but firm. I feel powerful, but not dangerous. I can protect us. That is what makes humans survive. Elias triggered small devices, sending flashes and shadows across the desert. The hunters moved cautiously, unaware that the humans were leading them into the heart of the ruins. Then the first hunter stepped into the trap. Rocks fell from above, energy pulses disrupted sensors, and the narrow corridors forced the hunters into disadvantageous positions. Elias moved alongside Lyra, guiding her energy, coordinating traps, and using her abilities to maximum effect. The battle was tense but strategic. The hunters were strong, but humans had cunning. They had patience, knowledge, and the ability to adapt instantly. Lyra's energy, combined with Elias' ingenuity, turned the ruins into a fortress. Hours passed, and the hunters were forced to retreat, temporarily defeated but not gone. Elias and Lyra collapsed in the hidden chamber they had prepared as their base. Exhausted but victorious, they caught their breath and looked at each other. You did well, Elias said, smiling. We did well together. I am not weak. I am human in a way. My power is part of me, but you showed me strength comes from courage, heart, and trust. And now he saw that same principle applied across species. Trust, courage, and ingenuity were universal tools of survival. As they rested, Elias looked toward the horizon. The hunters would return. Lyra's people might still exist, somewhere in the distant systems revealed by the pedestal, and the desert was far from safe, but they had each other, and that bond was stronger than any enemy. Tomorrow, Elias said quietly, we follow the map. We find your people, and we prepare for whatever comes next, because humans survive, and so will we. The ruins stood as a testament to a lost civilization, and the humans within them were proof that courage, ingenuity, and determination could face even the greatest threats. Elias and Lyra slept side by side, ready to continue the journey at first light, their bond stronger than ever, their spirits unbroken. Somewhere far across the desert, the hunters regrouped, planning their next move. But Elias and Lyra were not afraid. They had strategy, knowledge, and each other. And in the end, that was enough to face the unknown, to uncover the mysteries of the past, and to protect what mattered most. The ruins of the ancient city glowed faintly under the twin moons, a silent witness to the courage of one human and one alien child. Together, they had survived. And together, they would continue, walking toward the secrets of the universe, ready for the trials ahead and unafraid of the shadows that lingered in the desert night. The first light of dawn stretched across the desert, casting pale gold over the ruins. Elias and Lyra had spent the night preparing, reinforcing their traps and mapping the terrain. The hunters were coming again, Elias was certain of it, but this time they would face them on their own terms. Lyra stood beside him, calm and focused, her silver glow reflecting the early sunlight. She had grown stronger over the past days, learning to control her energy with precision. "Are you ready?" Elias asked, looking at her. Lyra nodded. "I am, but I am still afraid. The hunters are strong, and I do not know if I can stop them alone." Drones scoured the desert, searching for signs of life. Elias and Lyra waited, hidden among the crumbling walls and narrow passages. "Stay close," Elias whispered. "Follow my lead and trust yourself. Your energy can confuse them, mislead them, but we must act together." Lyra raised her hands, sending faint pulses of light that created illusions of movement. The drones misinterpreted the signals, flying into walls, tripping over debris, and colliding with each other. Elias activated a mechanical device he had constructed, releasing a cloud of dust and flashing lights to obscure their position further. The hunters stepped onto the ruins, sleek and imposing. Their armor glinted in the sun and their weapons hummed with energy. Elias crouched, whispering instructions to Lyra. "Keep them moving, lead them through the traps, let them tire themselves out." Rocks collapsed, debris fell, and the narrow corridors forced the hunters into positions where their size was a disadvantage. One hunter, larger than the rest, broke free from the illusions and spotted Lyra. He fired a pulse, and the energy hit the wall inches from her. Lyra flinched but quickly steadied herself, sending a precise energy wave to deflect the pulse. Elias leapt forward, pushing her behind a barrier while throwing a weighted device to distract the hunter. "You are incredible," Elias whispered, as Lyra's silver energy flared, striking another hunter's armor, sending it staggering. Hours passed in a tense battle of strategy and skill. Elias and Lyra moved seamlessly, anticipating each other's actions. Traps fell into place at just the right moments, illusions misled the hunters, and energy pulses disrupted their equipment. The hunters were relentless, but Elias' human ingenuity, combined with Lyra's alien abilities, created a perfect synergy. Finally, the larger hunter paused, realizing that the humans were not just fighting, they were controlling the battlefield. Frustrated, he signaled the retreat of his comrades. The remaining hunters disengaged, retreating toward their ships. The drones malfunctioned, and the desert fell quiet once more. Lyra exhaled deeply, her glow dimming. They left," she said softly, relief and exhaustion in her voice. Elias smiled faintly, kneeling beside her. "Yes, but we know they will return. And next time we will be ready again. Humans survive because we learn from every challenge. That is what makes us strong." It showed a distant planet, hidden in a cluster of stars, where remnants of her species had taken refuge. Elias studied the map with her. "Then this is where we go, we prepare, we travel, and we protect you until we find them." Lyra's energy guided them, sensing hidden dangers and helping them avoid remaining patrols. Elias used his engineering skills to repair old alien equipment they found along the way, making temporary shelters and tools to survive. Finally, they reached the edge of the desert where a hidden landing site remained, a small, ancient spacecraft buried partially in sand. Lyra's glow pulsed with recognition. This belongs to my people. Perhaps they left messages here. Perhaps hope remains." The message revealed the location of a hidden sanctuary, safe from the hunters and full of survivors. Lyra gasped, her silver eyes bright. "They survived. They are alive. I can see them." The hunters had spread across nearby systems, but Elias and Lyra moved stealthily, using hidden routes and relying on the alien devices they had discovered. Lyra's energy pulsed, guiding them through asteroid fields, deserted planets, and hidden space corridors. Elias handled navigation and repairs, using human ingenuity to adapt alien technology to their needs. Finally, they arrived. The sanctuary was hidden on a lush, green planet, shielded by ancient technology that kept it invisible to the hunters. Alien architecture rose from forests and rivers, and Lyra's species, smaller in number but alive, gathered around as they detected her presence. Lyra's heart swelled. They are safe," she whispered, tears forming in her eyes. Elias smiled. "And you helped them. Together we survived, and now they can live. I chose him as my guardian. He taught me courage, trust, and strength. Without him, I would not be here today." Lyra and Elias had learned, adapted, and survived together. She was no longer the cursed alien child. She was a beacon of hope, her powers a tool for protection and guidance. As the twin suns rose over the sanctuary, Lyra stood beside Elias. "I am ready now," she said softly. "Ready to protect my people, and I want to continue with you, Elias, together. Then we explore the stars together. Humans survive because we never give up, and now we continue to protect, learn, and grow." The desert, the hunters, the challenges, they were all behind them now. Ahead lay the stars, new worlds, and endless possibilities. And humanity, as always, would shine. Lyra turned to the elders of her species, introducing Elias as her companion and protector. They looked upon him with respect, realizing that the courage, ingenuity, and spirit of one human had saved their people. The concept of being cursed was gone, replaced with admiration and hope. Elias and Lyra prepared for the next journey. The sanctuary was safe, but the universe was vast, full of mysteries, challenges, and wonders. Humans had survived wars, deserts, and the unknown, relying on courage and intelligence. Now they would continue, protecting Lyra's people, exploring new worlds, and facing whatever came next. The twin suns rose higher, bathing the planet in golden light. Lyra glowed softly, Elias beside her, both ready to face the future. The galaxy was theirs to explore, and the story of the human who protected the alien child would be remembered as a testament to courage, trust, and the enduring strength of humanity. No longer cursed, Lyra was a symbol of hope. No longer ordinary, Elias was a symbol of human ingenuity and bravery. Together they had survived. Together they would thrive. Together they would shine across the stars.